Hi, it's Ethan Musolini, the Merchant of Success. Today we're going to look at social and business etiquette 2.0. And as we are working on this subject, again, I focus on 5 aspects: the clarity, the mindset, the strategies, the skill sets, and the mastery. So when it comes to clarity, let's look at the clarity on social and business etiquette. See, when we talk about social etiquette, we are really referring to the behavior you resort to in social situations, interactions with your family, friends, co-workers, or strangers. While with business etiquette, it's really about the rules that govern the way people interact with one another in business, with customers, suppliers, with inside or outside bodies. It is all about conveying the right image and behaving in an appropriate way. This morning, I was hearing my daughter, the teacher was, they were teaching her about culture. It was actually yesterday, not today. Was it yesterday? Okay, it could be this morning or yesterday. And in terms of culture, you're saying that it is the way of behavior, it's a way of acceptable behavior in society. So these things we are talking about, it's about what are those acceptable standards in social settings and in business settings. So why is it important for us to talk about business and social etiquette? Number one, first impressions count. I talked about that some time back, how it takes about 5 to 7 seconds. First impressions count. And a boost, this is also a boost confidence and self-esteem. When you know how to behave in different settings, then you'll feel much more confident. Unlike when you're not sure, unlike when you're doubtful, unlike when you're hesitant and wondering what all this is all about. The other thing is strong friendships. So if you really want to keep strong friendships, then you have to keep certain standards. When you violate certain basics or certain ways of being, then your friends will not feel that strong attachment to you. So it's important to have certain standards, certain ways of being, that then people will say, I can count on so-and-so. Oh, so-and-so would be good to have at our party. It will be fun. Oh, don't bring so-and-so because they will mess everything up. You know, there are those characters you cannot take to your home. There are those characters you cannot introduce to your closest friends. There are those characters you cannot introduce to your wife or husband because of their business and social etiquette. Then business and social etiquette will also open up opportunities for you. It will open up doors for you. And that's how things work. That's how life works. The better you are as an individual, the better opportunities you attract, whether from a technical perspective or whether from a soft skill perspective. Here are certain principles to remind ourselves of when it comes to etiquette. Luke 6:31, that do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's called the golden rule. But I also like what is called the platinum rule. Whereas this is the golden rule that is preached in the Bible, which is a fantastic and classic way to start. There is also what's called the platinum rule. And the platinum rule is do unto others as they would want you to do unto them. And what I mean by that is, whereas some people, for example, like coffee and the like, I prefer juice. Or if not, I take my porridge. Okay, like about this time, someone was asking about where is my cup of porridge. Here it is, all right? So if I come to your home and you give me millet porridge, I would be super happy. While for you, so meaning the best way would be not for you to assume just because you like coffee that I like coffee. Say, okay, we have this and this. Or is there anything else you'd like to have? Okay, so even better. That's even better. Coffee is a good start, but even better, ask me what I want. And that's a very key aspect. Buddha says that one should seek for others the happiness one desires for oneself. I love that. So I desire knowledge, and that's one of the reasons I'm sharing this knowledge. I love wisdom. That's why I'm sharing this wisdom. And I love to succeed. That's why I want as many people as possible to succeed. In fact, at the end of the month or sometime in September, you will know my secret number of people I want to impact. The Hindus say in Hindu that the true rule of life is to guard and do by the things of others as they do by their own. Okay. Cool. So when you see these tenets or principles, there's something that flows through, that what you would not wish done to yourself, do not do unto others. That's according to the Chinese. So these are sayings and principles and tenets that have the same thread carrying through. That there are certain things that you would want seen done unto you, please do the same unto others. And the things you don't want done unto you, please do not do them unto others, all right? So for example, I suppose, let me give you something very basic. Now, I've never had someone who says, I love it when people shout at me. Then don't shout at others. And yet, how many people have you seen shout at others? All right. Let's look at the mindsets. 4 mindsets to take into account when you're thinking about business and social etiquette. Okay. So just know that somehow one of the mindsets that are critical, I beg your pardon. These are mindsets. Now, one of the mindsets which is very, very important, especially at the workplace, is that everyone has a role to play and all jobs are interconnected. So what I mean by that is you need to have that respect, that honor. Apologies on the slide there, you're seeing clarity, but it should be showing mindset. Apologies for that. So the key thing to remind yourself of is that the person you may be dismissive of today could have the information that is relevant to you tomorrow. In fact, it may not be the information tomorrow. It could even be information now, which you're searching for, but you're underlooking that individual. I recall, so if I'm sure all of us have seen these sticky notes, the idea of a sticky note actually came from a secretary. It did not come from the CEO or head of marketing or head of creative. No, it came from a secretary. Therefore, you do not want to dismiss anyone. You just want to value everyone and know that all employees, as an example, at the workplace. So here we're talking about business setting, that we are interconnected and everyone has a role to play. Do not undermine, underrate anyone, because you have no clue what that person may be having. If they don't have something of value to you, just know that. So one of the mindsets I have that I believe in, and it's a spiritual mindset, in that when I help one of us be better, then I become better. Somehow at a spiritual level, we are interconnected. So if I hurt someone in one way, I am hurting myself in one way or the other. And that's a principle that most people forget. If you've been paying attention throughout the ages, you will notice that those who are in places of power, who choose to, so if you look through the times, those who have been in positions of power and have misused, that's the proper word, and have misused their positions of power to hurt others, that is also always temporal. I tell you, if you look closely and those people live long enough, then they come back to be hurt even more. Somehow there's a boomerang. Somehow what they sowed, they harvest. Either themselves or their families or their children or everyone else involved. So this notion of interconnectedness, this is not just a mental idea, it's a spiritual idea. That when you do good to others, you're doing good to yourself. When you hurt someone, you're hurting yourself, either directly or indirectly. It's just that most people don't know. The other mindset is that it is my role to make it convenient for others. So you have to think that way. And you do not have to be in the hospitality industry like Goretti when you go to Kalanoga or something. It's just a mindset you should have. Whether you're hosting people at home or you're hosting people at office, I always find it fascinating that, for example, when in the workplace setting, if, say, something falls down, let's say flip chart stand falls down, there are people who just fold their arms as if nothing has happened, and there are those who just leap to their feet as if it is the biggest emergency ever, and they just want to jump in and help. So those are people who have the mindset of my role is to make it convenient for others. The other mindset, which is very useful, is to remind yourself that good manners open doors for me. Okay. Looking back, one of the best gifts that my dad left with me, even though he had 2 years of schooling, he was a tailor, I was born in a very humble background. Some of you have read my story. At least I recall he had good manners. I never had him shout at people. I never had him abuse people. Of course, he beat us as kids. Okay, those are not good. Those are not bad manners, though. So I'm talking about how he interacted with the world. So as a result, I took that on. I'm very respectful of people. That I can say with pride, that no one can ever point and say Ethan shouted at me or no. So, and that has opened doors for me. I can tell you that. You just need to treat people well, treat people the right way, and the world will treat you right. Okay. Oh, I like that. Treat people the right way, and the world will treat you right. You should write that one down. I wish, Nathan, you could capture it for me. And yeah. So just, and I'm not going to say, okay, the good manner is this. You know what good manners are. Treat people with respect, treat people with courtesy, and all these things. The other mindset is people judge us based on how they perceive us, okay? And perception is also based on how we are behaving or not behaving in the moment. So you just have to pay attention to that. You just have to have that awareness that how people perceive us is how they will judge us. Justine is saying that the last mindset is not rhyming well. People's perceptions could be their choice, not my relations with them. Please clarify. Yeah, so people judge us based on how they perceive us. Indeed, their perceptions, those perceptions could be right, they could be wrong. That's number one, by the way. Okay, when you say people's perceptions could be their choice, indeed, it's their choice. You're absolutely right. You're 100% spot on. It's their choice. And that choice is influenced by what you're doing or not doing. And sometimes they may be spot on, sometimes they may be wrong. But either way, it's their choice. So part of our job and what we are doing here is to say, okay, what sort of things do I need to do or not to do to be in the favorable perception of this person's mind? One of the things I would encourage you to think about yourself is to think about yourself like a company. See, when companies are doing, say, branding campaigns and all this, part of the trick is that they are really, when you think about branding, it's really about influencing your perception. That's what it's all about. Therefore, they will do certain things or not do certain things to influence your perception. So that's what we are, that's the thought here. In that, what are those things you need to do to influence perception in the right way? Talking about which, it reminds me, for some of us who are having access to the recordings, there is a segment on, not a segment, I did a session on personal branding. So it gives you tips and techniques to influence people's perception. And of course, some of you will also be getting the recordings later. Those of you are going to place the orders. And just a second. Yeah, I like how you're taking it now, that brand to influence perception positively. that could be a title of an article by itself. I like that. Thank you. Now let's look at the strategies. Okay. Here are 4 sure strategies that will improve your etiquette. The first one is the 3 R's. Number 1, recognition. Acknowledge people. Call them sir, madam. There's one time I was at a Barclays Bank outlet in Nakasero, and this gentleman, I say, oh, hi, I'm Ethan. He said, I'm Kato. So then towards the end, I said, oh, have a fantastic afternoon, Kato. And he said, no, I'm not Kato. I am Mr. Kato. So this gentleman just wanted to be acknowledged, so to speak, with the title of Mr. Okay. So meaning one of the things you could do that I found useful is most people crave that, to say sir, madam, and there are people who just don't want that, by the way. I know, for example, Goretti, even though she's a professor, she doesn't like being called Professor Goretti. She just wants you to call her Goretti. Okay. So there are people who are very humble and they don't want that. But I'm saying, generally speaking, you know, that's, and when I say recognition, that's one of them. But the biggest one, which I'm talking about here in this respect, is really about when someone does something, acknowledge them, say thank you. And that's something that we keep pushing our daughters to learn. Sometimes they come, they pick something, you give them something and they walk away. I'm like, okay, what do you say? Say thank you, daddy, or thank you, mom. I want them to learn to acknowledge that, to recognize and say thank you as an example. So recognizing people, if someone has done something, thank them, pronounce them, talk about them in public, right? So I know, for example, I got news, there's someone, Justine was in a certain room, Justine Amaro, and she was saying how useful this information has been with her and how it has transformed her life. But that message got back to me. Someone told me that. So thank you, Justine. She was acknowledging that. She was acknowledging the transformation. That's a fantastic attitude to have. And I remember sharing with that person, I said, Justine is one of the most grateful people I know. She sees something, she expresses gratitude, and it's from the heart. I really appreciate that. And one of the best ways to know is what you hear from other people indeed. So thanks, Justine, once again. The other R is respect. Treat people with respect, value, and courtesy. That I cannot emphasize enough. In fact, I cannot withstand people who disrespect others. It bothers me. If there is one trigger that I'm yet to manage and stay calm at, to stay calm when I'm seeing, is if I see people disrespecting others. But it's not cool at all. Be respectful. Next, response. People do not want to be kept waiting. I know, for example, when it comes to phones, I'm very, very responsive. The area that I'm still working on, I'm just seeking God's grace to help me with, is email. And I'll tell you, I really, really admire people who are super, super responsive. The first 2 hours, I know I'm very excellent. I'm excellent at that. In terms of responsive, to be honest with you, so pray for me indeed, that I can be very responsive. My desire is to be responsive on email. But trust me, being responsive is a fantastic quality, whether in a social setting or business setting. 2, wardrobe etiquette. Keep your wardrobe updated. Choose what to wear appropriately and stay conservative when unsure. What I mean by that, in one of the programs I was telling you about, you're asking, what the dress code is, and that still counts. And sometimes you're not so sure. When you're not so sure, just on the side of being conservative. When I say keep your wardrobe updated, well, you don't want to be behind the news, so to speak. Keep updating. There's something you may learn from Great. She amused me, and that's something I haven't implemented, but which I thought was so cool. He said for her Zoom sessions, she takes every day. She will update her Zoom picture. I said, how come? He said, yeah, if you saw me during day, if you see me in the meeting, you should know that that's me. I was like, how cool. So, and the key thing is, and by these people, you hear me talk about these people a lot because they are in the inner circles of masterminds. So the key thing is stay updated. And of course, wherever you can, stay appropriate or keep it professional, right? Okay. Also, there are those moments where you may need to replace things. Stay away from very smelly meals, offices for every employee, not a selected few. So meaning keep your desk clean, keep the environment amiable, comfortable, clear, and clean. There are people who, even if you have, let me tell you something. Even if, for example, you have someone who picks cups and plates from the table, it doesn't hurt because there are offices where there's a kitchen and all that. It doesn't hurt once you're done having your tea to go and carry the cup from the boardroom and take it to the kitchen. It is simple manners. Dining. There's a lot we could talk about dining, but there are a couple of things. Number one, elbows off the table, please. Okay, unless you're using both the knife, a knife and a fork, just keep one arm on the table. Then just get to know which fork should be where and all that. Now, the other key thing is don't add salt before you taste the food. There are people, they've served them food, before you know it, they are pouring salt all over. Yeah, me, I take a lot of salt. How do you know? Today, this could be a different day. The chef could have put a lot of salt and now you're creating double trouble for you. All right. So use toothpicks away from the table if you can, but if you must, then cover your mouth and then pick whatever you need to pick. Do not display and show us what is inside your teeth. Serve what you can finish. There are people, they just say, oh, this looks good. This looks, you pump the whole plate and then you can't even finish the food. That's wastage. That's number one. Number two, even if you are super hungry, it does not, I've seen people carrying plates. It's like they are carrying the whole Mount Rwenzori on the plate. And the soup is literally sipping over and they're like, fast. Give me space. No, be respectful. The other thing I've noticed, there are also simple things because as a consultant, sometimes we do workshops. And so you notice that they, usually have hotels when they have bites during break tea, as an example, they're usually more or less moderate. It's not in abundance. And there are people who go there and someone adds like 6 pieces of bites. And the people who come at the end, they don't have food. I mean, they don't have the bites. So it's called awareness. But guess what? People are watching you. People are noticing. They won't say anything, but they are watching. And you're communicating something to the world that you're not sensitive to people around you. You're lacking basic manners. So if I was to add one other thing, it would be for you to be considerate. Be considerate of others. So, there are samosas, there's samosa, there's mandazi, there's cake. So ideally pick one piece. That's it. But if you pick 3 samosas, 2 mandazis, 3 cakes, why? Then you run to the corner. Now it means most likely other people at the end who are not going to have something to eat. So when we talk about etiquette, sometimes these little tiny things that we forget. Okay. Stella Mbetika here has said, dress properly and they will remember the person. Dress shabbily, they will remember your attire. I like that. Cool. Thank you. Justin here is saying that some people pick snacks and then save them on book for later. They cover in a serviette. Terrible. Yeah. So if you, you can't just cover for, I mean, save for later. For later, what? Is there a famine coming? So what you can do is, though what I know which is acceptable is if everyone has, if it's in the evening, let's say you're in a workshop setting and everyone has taken their tea and they have left and you're among the last people, it's okay to carry some of those snacks to take them home, but please don't carry and cover things when others haven't finished, so to speak. Not cool at all. Let's talk about 6 steps to social and business etiquette mastery. Number 1, keep time for meetings, please. Again, these are basic principles which we sometimes miss. I like what one of my teachers said, that common sense does not mean common practice. You have to forget this mentality of African time. No, African time means on time, please. Okay. Don't arrive late. Do not interrupt people. Meaning when someone is speaking, you do not interrupt them. Give them space to speak. Say, sorry for interruption. What is the sorry about? They do not interrupt. Of course, and apart from those exceptional moments where, let's say you have to save time and, someone didn't understand the question or something. But generally speaking, do not interrupt people. And also, there is a time and place for confrontation, and the meeting is almost never that place. I said almost. There are those moments where you may need to confront. So keep confrontation private. And like those of you who attended, I would encourage you to, those of you who are getting the recordings, who are investing in the recordings, I would invite you to review giving and receiving feedback. And one of the things that I went into detail about is the impact of challenging feedback in public. But the quick tip for us in general terms is, if it's confrontation, please keep it private, okay? Praise in public, criticize in private. The other key when it comes to international business etiquette, please be mindful of time zones. Otherwise, you might wake up in the wee hours, or you might wake up so late. So once you go, please readjust your phone quickly, or your, your clock, whatever the case might be, such that you are not left unasked. Otherwise, they will say the meeting is at 8 and the difference is 3 hours, leave alone 8 hours, and you're all lost, and you look awkward. So people will not appreciate it. So just be mindful. These are basic things you can find out. Of course, vigilantly observe the corporate culture. What does the corporate culture look like? We see there are some corporate cultures which are casual, the other corporate cultures which are very, very formal. So just observe that and play along, okay? So it's not just about, me, I can't, unless it is illegal or immoral and unethical, please just be vigilant and see how to at least almost blend in. The other key thing is wardrobe and hygiene. Stay well kept and smell good also. It helps. And smelling good does not mean, again, having those strong scents, which I've talked about before, but smelling good is always very positive. Ladies, again, they beat us men on that. Even if it's not a perfume, there is a way in which they look for those lotions that really smell nice. And sometimes someone passes like, smelling nice, okay? So also, messy items may detract from the image you would like to present. So it could be your table at the office and how it looks like. That communicates. So just pay attention. And it could be, that you didn't, when we talk about wardrobe, something as simple as you not ironing, there are people who will take offense, not offense, but they will judge you harshly, very harshly. There are people who are so picky in that, And sometimes I make those mistakes myself, like even something like spelling. And there are people who are super picky on that. Like, no, that really turns me off. And I'm not perfect on that front. So that means sometimes I turn off some people. So just be aware that these things all count. Cracking inappropriate jokes, beware of that. So etiquette is about behavior and sensitivity. Okay. So cracking jokes at times where it is inappropriate or inappropriate jokes in general show a total lack of sensitivity. You have to be very careful about jokes you make in, and to be honest, I like cracking jokes. I like being lighthearted. And so the key thing is to be sensitive. Again, you just have to beware. Do not make offensive comments about people's religion, about people's body parts. I've seen people do this in public. I'm like, what on earth are you doing? Making jokes about someone's body parts or religion, or so just again, it comes from that sense of, let's call it emotional intelligence. So you need high levels of emotional intelligence when you're cracking jokes, especially if you're lighthearted as I am. The other key thing is be alert. When I say alert, means things can change anytime. There could be a different angle that you need to look at things. There could be something that you need to say. There could be something you need to stop saying or to hold back. So what are those things that you really need to pay attention to? So all these are dynamics in that when you are engaged in a business or social setting, if you do not pay attention to, that alone can kick you off. You see, sometimes it's not just what you've done from the beginning. It's not what you've done for the last 59 minutes. The one thing you fail to do on the 60th minute is going to be big. I'll give you an example. So I was, there is a USAID project that is ending, and they are our clients. So I was speaking there this week, actually yesterday. And I liked what the head of finance said. He said, look, we have had an excellent record up until now, but please note that even these few months remaining, we have to be very vigilant, because when they are doing audits, they won't look at the excellent record you had up till now. They're going to analyze what you've just done now. If you mess up now, that's what they're going to focus on. They're not going to excuse you just because previously you did all these great things. So now that's being part of being alert, is you knowing that from the first minute to the last, you have to be super alert and behave appropriately, because you may say 99 excellent things, and then you say one word, one messy word, or one messy joke, and the person will not remember all the other 99 that you said. Okay, so, oops, sorry. Just a second. Oh, and the last one is that when it comes to communication, it's not just what you say, but how you say it that counts. The tone, the mannerism, the timing, the body language, the tone of voice. And I would encourage you, for some of you who could be interested, I have a whole masterclass on public speaking. You could either get the recording or get one-on-one coaching. So that's big. That's huge. So meaning pay attention to the whole package of your communicating. It's not just the words per se, but how you put them across, and even the timing itself will have a huge bearing on how people will think about you. Sarah says etiquette is what you're doing and saying. Is what you're doing and saying. What you're thinking is your business. Yeah, what you're doing and saying, that's what is very visible. That's what's on the outside. You'll be judged by that, not what you are thinking. That's not what I was thinking. No, what did you say? All right.
Thank you so much, Attain. Yeah, thank you so much, Attain.
Oh, sorry, Stella, the question is, for purpose of recording, is please comment, for example, you're addressing a letter to say Director UTB, then you add dear Sir stroke Madam. What's your take on that, Stella?
Yes, thank you, Attain. Normally, etiquette-wise, it's always good to learn about who you're sending the document to. You generalizing what you're sending may not send a right signal. It means you didn't do the right research about either the organization or the person you're trying to address. So it's always imperative that you do prior research, you find out the right person you're going to address the communication to. But if all that fails, it is still fine to say sir or madam, but it's always imperative to do research prior before you send out documents. That's why our documents actually end up in 2 trays.
Okay, cool. And then if I know, so I know this is the director of UTB and I know their name is Jane. So what do I say dear madam or I say dear Jane?
Professionally, it is dear, the first name. Madam is kind of received not very well by so very many people. So you address everybody professionally by their first name. Dear Attain, dear Stella, not dear Mbekeka. Okay,
good. First name. And it's amazing, someone was in spirit, Dorothy said, is it okay to address E.G. dear Jane? How cool. Well, thank you so much, Stella. That's what I also thought and believed. But I was like, you know what? We have a certified etiquette coach. No. So thanks for those extra distinctions. Much appreciated. All right, cool. So in terms of mastery, this is what I want you to do. In number 1 is to ask yourself, how can I or we work with one another? What is the image we convey to people? What is the image I convey to people? Are we polite enough? Or am I polite enough? When we say we, because I know some of us have businesses, we are leaders. So these are questions you need to ask yourself. Are we polite enough or am I polite enough? How can we show more respect, be more responsive and recognize people? Or how can I show more respect? What are your standards? What are those standards you stand for or do not stand for, or that you cannot accept? So these are questions I'm imploring you to ask yourself, to engage yourself with, all right? Stella, over to you. So that if you use the title, do you, like doctor or professor, do you use the first name or last name?
Thank you, Attain. In etiquette, it's called honoring or respecting honorifics, where you respect titles or what people have achieved in life, like president, like doctor, like engineer. We always address people by their first name, but it's very okay to put a honorific upon their name if you're very sure they have that honorific, whether it's a doctor or actually, when you're using a honorific, it's always imperative to use both their names. Normally, especially when you're concluding a statement, it's imperative for you to use Dr. Attain Musolini. But if you don't want to use both, it's proper to use Dr. Musolini.
The second name, in other words.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, cool. Even just in saying with title, use the last name has been the practice in my institution. But last name is more personal identification. All right, thank you, Stella. So now with etiquette, I have some quick thoughts, though because of time, I may not, I have a lot to say about this, but Stella, I'm just going to give you like 2 minutes in terms of etiquette. What are those things we need to pay attention to? And then I will add in like 1 minute myself.
All right, thank you, Attain. And Etiquette is all about how we use internet. And why I brought this up is the way we are disturbing Attain when he's presenting. He's calling us upon to mute, he's calling us upon to put off our videos. So how you use internet, especially social media, because at the moment we're using social media a lot, and we're using e-platform a lot. Because we are no longer meeting physically. So we need to bear in mind that what people are seeing kind of affects your brand. You're the person that is being called upon all the time to mute your mic. You're the person who is interrupting sessions. So how you use internet is really important. What you post may affect you in 10 years to come. Yeah, what you comment on today may be something that is going to bite you 5 years from now, because even I'm a natural person, but we are using internet a lot to find more about the candidates we do recruit, how they behave around social media, what they post, what they comment about, what their likes are. You are, for example, you want to apply for a CEO position, but you're following characters that are downplaying your kind of value. Yeah, I wouldn't say that those people are not of value in society, but maybe you want to differentiate yourself from that particular niche. So what you comment are the pages you like, the pages you follow, the kind of people you follow, what you put on your Twitter account, what you put on Facebook, how you phrase it, it may affect you. So we have to be mindful of the times we are in. We are going more than physical.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stella, for that. And I like what Emily has said, and also disrespecting working hours. So meaning if you're going to be, say, browsing certain websites, then you have to do them during, say, lunch break or something like that. Also, just to be aware that when you are working in an institution, IT people are typically monitoring what sort of websites you're browsing through. I was talking to a head of a certain institution, and this person said, I was really shocked to see the kind of websites this person was visiting. So just know that there are people who are monitoring you. Okay. Then secondly, when it comes to the things that you do online, it's not just what you post, it's also how you respond. So when you are responding, are you respectful? Are you courteous? If people abuse you, do you abuse back? Because then ultimately you're demonstrating to the world who you are when it comes to net fights. Okay, let's call them net fights if we are to go netiquette, so to speak. So you just have to ask yourself, what I'm writing. So let me give you a simple rule. What I'm writing, if it was published in a national newspaper, or someone took a snapshot and pasted and showed it on national television, would I be comfortable? Would I be proud of what I'm seeing? If the answer is no, please do not. Please do not. Because I'll tell you something. There is someone who was writing something and it was meant to be internal, and then they accidentally copied in the wrong people who shouldn't have seen that message. And the language in that email was not very, very courteous or respectful. So as a rule of thumb, just be aware, okay? So thanks, Stella, for bringing that up. Then Jacqueline say, thank you, Stella, for complimenting Ethan's message today. Thank you indeed, Stella. Stella, we've done some work before offline. Now we are here online. We are here complimenting each other online. And it's good to know that you went to the etiquette level certification. Congratulations. I didn't know that. So in future, let's see what we can do. So the question is, what did you find most useful in this presentation? This is something you should capture in your on paper somewhere. And also, how are you going to implement the lessons moving forward in your life and career stroke business? So just do that in terms of you reflecting, okay? It will be very helpful for you. There's something Sarah mentioned around what you post on social media and the like. So again, to re-emphasize that these days when you send in your CV, as a recruiter, where we go first is to type in your name, and typically the social media pages are there because they have high traffic. They in social media, in search engine optimization speak, we say they have high authority. So your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your Twitter pages, and all that, that's what will pop up. So it gives us a quick scan of who is this person. So please, I cannot emphasize the value of that, in that it is going to influence so much the perception of your branding. Once again, those of us who have access to the recordings, go through that personal branding session. Part of Etiquette, please, just write your full names. Let us know you. Don't just leave your phone, whatever. It's part of branding. Let's get to know you, okay? Cool. The other thing which has just flashed in my head, please create an image for your Zoom session, so to speak, that represents you. Rather than just the name, putting there your image or your picture gives a full view of, gives people an idea of who you are and how you look like. And also, the other thing I've seen people on their social media pages putting there like an image of a dog or their child or some soccer idol they have. No, you're telling the world that you do not value yourself enough to showcase who you are. Please put there your picture, your actual picture. Okay.